Hey friend, please subscribe. 1 second for you. Big deal for me.
It was 8:30 on a Tuesday morning, and the place smelled like burnt espresso and cinnamon scones. I was short on sleep, my apron was crusted with oat milk from a spill, and the morning rush hadn't even peaked yet. Piper, my 4-year-old, sat at the corner table with a box of crayons and her whole soul poured into a half-colored unicorn. That's when Camille blew in. Perfect blazer, fresh blowout, like she'd just stepped off a damn catalog page. She went straight to Piper first, crouched to hug her like she hadn't seen her in months. Piper giggled, showing off her glittery shoes. Then Camille stood up and slipped a cream-colored card into my hand. A local daycare's logo was printed in the corner. "It's just a little help," she said, tapping the card with her nail. "They have a spot open uptown. Good hours, safe space, vetted staff. I put down the deposit. You can pay me back when things level out." I blinked. "You didn't have to do that." She smiled like I'd just proven her point. "You need stability, Rowan. For Piper, not just coffee beans and late nights. Before continue, tell us in the comments which city or country you're listening from. Let's see which corners of the world we've gathered from today." "Thanks. And now the story." She wasn't done. She reached into that oversized purse and pulled out an iPad, still wrapped in plastic. "For Piper. It's the kid version, low-light screen. Already set up under my Apple ID so we can use the parental filters. I'll show you how to manage it." I nodded like a dumbass. Told myself it was sisterly generosity, the kind of support every single parent dreams of until they actually get it and feel like shit inside. My shop had been bleeding tips since spring, and rent had crept up without mercy. Piper had outgrown her shoes last week. I was exhausted and grateful and ashamed all at once. 15 minutes later, Jared, her husband, showed up on his lunch break. HOA badge still clipped to his belt, like he was Homeland Security. He bought a muffin, told me it was just to support the locals, then leaned in close. "Hey, heads up. Word is you've been swinging by our neighborhood lately. Just FYI, quiet hours are 7 to 7 and the board's strict. You know how it is. Gotta keep things sane." He handed me a folded note with the HOA logo on top, all about noise levels and neighborhood integrity. Piper was literally 4 years old. What kind of rave did he think we were throwing? I tossed the note behind the register and tried to focus on the next latte. An hour later, Felix Romano, regular customer, wedding videographer, offered to build me a camera rig for the shop. "Cheap," he said. "Just enough to catch sticky fingers and keep your insurance guy off your back." "I'll throw in the mounting kit," I said yeah. Told him I'd get him a week of free macchiatos in exchange. Right after he left, a woman I didn't recognize came up for a cappuccino, sharp blazer, soft voice. "Double cap, no sugar. And hey, Piper's your daughter, right?" I froze. "Yeah?" She smiled. "I'm Quinn. I work at Harwood and Rice, Midtown Brokerage, Camille's assistant." I nodded slowly, playing it cool. She took her drink, said, "Cute kid," and walked out like she didn't just drop a landmine. Later that afternoon, Camille texted me, "Send me Piper's pediatrician info so I can add you to my corporate concierge account for urgent care referrals. Fine print's annoying." I gave it to her, just handed it over like it was no big deal. Didn't even ask why she needed it. Looking back, I should have seen it right then. How money came with strings. Devices came with tracking. Help came with control. And I told myself it was just family. I texted Felix, "There's a USB in the bag." "Come by after close with a reader," he replied. "On my way tonight." I sat there, glue stuck to my arms, paper scraps under my elbows, my eyes locked on that damn ICPC brochure. I kept rereading the phrase multi-state coordination of child placement like it was a foreign language. Piper was asleep in the next room with her foot hanging off the bed, and I was sitting in my kitchen reading plans to move her out of the state like she was a shipment of furniture. The tote bag was heavy, not just with paper, there was intent in it, deliberate, organized, like Camille had mapped this all out weeks ago, and I'd just been too damn busy pouring lattes and wiping up juice spills to notice. I went back to the bag and pulled everything out one sheet at a time, laying it flat on the table like crime scene evidence. First came the guardianship considerations packet, and right at the top was Piper's full name. Not a guess, not a maybe. Full legal name, date of birth, and a line marked Current Guardian, Rowan Pike, Father. Behind that was a 3-page letter to something called the Family Intake Court Coordinator, and I swear it read like a Yelp review of my worst moments. One paragraph said I frequently appeared disoriented during drop-offs. Another claimed I slurred speech during a parent-teacher event. I'd never even been to a parent-teacher event. Piper wasn't even in real school yet. Then came the noise complaints, typed and dated. One of them even included a timestamp of when I'd supposedly had a loud argument with someone on the sidewalk. The shop was closed that day. I remembered because Piper had a fever, and I'd stayed in bed with her watching dinosaur cartoons till noon. Another paper was a draft letter to family court. Handwritten notes all over the margins, circled words like erratic, unstable, and emergency review. There were red underlines under phrases like lack of structured childcare and ongoing financial hardship. I hit the pediatrician letter and actually laughed. Not because it was funny, because it was lazy. The date listed was during a week the clinic had been closed for renovations. The logo was warped, and the address was off by 1 number. Someone had either faked the whole thing or copied a template and botched it. Then I pulled out the pediatrician transfer form to a place in Paramus, New Jersey, dated 3 weeks out. At the bottom of the tote sat a gray USB drive labeled Rowan in Camille's handwriting. That part froze me. That meant this was already moving. It wasn't an idea anymore. It was scheduled. The final sheet broke something in me. Daycare transfer paperwork to a center in Montclair, with Camille's neat handwriting at the top. Jared will notarize. That's when I realized this wasn't just Camille playing big sister. This was a plan. Quiet, structured, rehearsed. Camille wasn't waiting for me to screw up. She was building the screw up herself. I packed everything back into the tote, hands shaking like I'd just dumped ice water on myself. I made sure the papers were in the exact same order. Then I picked up my phone, called Camille, and forced my voice into casual. Hey, looks like you left your bag here. Oh, I must have dropped it when I cleaned up Piper's table. I'll swing by tomorrow afternoon. She said it like we were still on the same team, like I hadn't just seen her signature next to my daughter's name on a guardianship form. Sounds good, I said. It's right by the crates. I hung up and stared at the phone. My skin felt too tight, like I wanted to crawl out of it. I didn't sleep. I couldn't. By 1 a.m., I was still sitting there at the table, knees bouncing, Piper's glitter glue hardened on my shirt. I kept flipping that brochure over, reading the fine print about expedited hearings and priority placement in cases of perceived instability. Perceived, not proven. That's all it took. At 1:20 a.m., Felix knocked. I didn't even ask how he knew I was still up. He just walked in with a USB reader, a sandwich bag, and a flashlight clipped to his hoodie. Let's copy it, he said. Fast. No risk. He plugged it into my busted old laptop, made a local copy onto my hard drive, then dragged a backup into his own flash drive. I watched him work in total silence while Piper snored down the hall. When it was done, he took the original USB, clicked it shut, and slid it back into the tote where I found it. He glanced at me and said, "Put the bag back in the exact spot. Don't say a word till we know what's on that drive." Then he unplugged the reader, tucked the copy into his hoodie pocket, and headed for the door. Right before he left, he turned and said, "Whatever this is, it's been in motion a while." I nodded, barely holding it together. After he left, I didn't move. I just sat there with my head in my hands, the tote back under the coat hook, waiting for the sun to come up and pretending my daughter wasn't one signature away from being taken like I didn't exist. Felix came back the next morning with 2 coffees and my busted laptop under his arm. He set everything on the bar, like we were about to run diagnostics on a murder weapon. "Sit," he said. "Don't talk. Just watch." He opened the USB copy, clicked through folders labeled Incidents, Support Letters, and Timeline. The Incidents folder was loaded, dozens of still photos in neat rows, all of me. I watched myself nodding off on the couch in one shot, then carrying Piper up the stairs in another. One of them showed me half asleep with her on my chest, a half-eaten sandwich on the table. "Now check this," Felix said, flipping the folder to list by date modified. They were all taken the same day, Wednesday, 2 weeks ago, between 2:11 and 2:39 p.m. I stared at the timestamps, trying to breathe. "That's 28 minutes. She staged your life in a half hour," Felix said. "Same lens, same time frame, same light angle. I did PI grunt work for like 6 months before weddings. Metadata was always the first thing we checked." He opened another folder called Rowan Case. It had spreadsheets with tabs: unreliable income, unsanitary home, missed appointments. The notes were typed out like bullet points for court: my hours, my rent, my lack of a family plan. There was even a line under concerning habits that said, "frequently appears disheveled. Possibly under influence. She made it sound like you live in a shoebox and drink before noon," Felix said. I started pulling receipts. I had everything. Square reports showing coffee sales during the exact times I was supposedly asleep, bus swipes from my Metro card, even a library checkout receipt for Dinosaurs Before Dark. Piper had picked it out herself. "Timestamp, 3:13 p.m., I said. "That's 10 minutes after I was asleep in the street." Felix nodded. "You keep everything?" "Everything," I said, "down to the preschool flyers." We built a folder of our own, just to start, named Counterproof. My stomach was in knots, but I felt it shift from fear to fury. The next morning I was grinding beans for a regular when Quinn walked in. She looked tired, like she hadn't slept either. Ordered her usual, then noticed my laptop open behind the bar. "You got something going on?" she asked, nodding at the screen. I didn't sugarcoat it. "I think Camille's trying to take my kid." She didn't flinch, didn't even blink. "I've seen a shared drive at work," she said. "Camille called it Family Matters." "Your name's on it." I couldn't open most of it, permissions locked, but the file names look like what you just said. Same kinds of dates, same folder structure. I felt something shift right then. Not just panic anymore. Movement. Quinn set her coffee on the bar. "I'm not into office politics, but this? It smells like a setup. If I see anything else come through the scanner, I can route a copy to your email. You'll know it passed her desk." I stared at her for a second. "You sure?" "I'm not helping her cover her ass," she said. "I don't play that game." After she left, I texted Felix and told him to come back after close. We needed help, not just workarounds, legal protection. He showed up around 6 with a name. Elliot Granger, family lawyer, old client from wedding work. Not cheap, but not a shark either. Known for pushing through emergency orders when kids are involved. We met Elliot that same night, at a booth in the diner near 58th. He looked like someone's uncle. Balding, gray beard, corduroy blazer with coffee stains. He spoke slow, but not soft. "Camille's building a custody challenge outside the court process," he said after we laid everything out. "It's not illegal to collect evidence, but what she's doing walks the line. If she tries to file any of this, we need to be ahead of it." He pulled out a legal pad and started scribbling boxes. Timestamps, payments, transfers. "You'll keep Piper with you at all times. Don't trust drop-offs, don't trust favors, and do not let her stay overnight anywhere without you." "What about daycare?" I asked. "Until we know who she's contacted, don't risk it." Felix asked, "What do we start with?" "Transit records," Elliot said. "Pull every tap-in, tap-out, get print logs if you can. Get footage from your shop, especially dates listed in their fake evidence. Any interaction with Piper that's recorded, we want it. Body language, timestamps, background noise. If anyone has been paid to write or sign anything, we find that too." I nodded, feeling the pressure build in my chest. "And the USB?" "Keep it backed up," Elliot said. "Multiple copies. Offline storage. That USB might be the key, but only if we can prove it wasn't altered by you. No edits, no renames. Keep the original exactly as it is. Felix leaned back and muttered, Jesus, this is a whole operation. No, Elliot said, tapping his pen on the table. This is a custody grab wrapped in paperwork and fake concern. You're not crazy. You're being boxed out of your own kid's life, one staged file at a time. He looked at me directly then. But they slipped. People who stage evidence always do. They're neat, but not clean. We just need to catch one break. As we got up to leave, Elliot said, You keep your shop open like normal. Smile when she walks in. Be polite when she texts. And keep that little girl close. I walked back to the shop alone, thinking about Camille's voice telling me to just accept help. And how that help now had folder tabs labeled unfit environment. When I got in, Piper was asleep on the floor with a crayon in her hand and sparkles stuck to her cheeks. I picked her up, kissed her head, and whispered, I've got you. No matter what, but inside, I was already making lists. Sunday, right before noon, I loaded Piper into the car with her hair still wet and crumbs on her sweatshirt from a granola bar. I didn't want to go, but I needed to. Camille had texted that morning. Spaghetti, 1 p.m., bring Piper's sweater. It might be breezy in the garden. The way she wrote it, breezy, not windy, like she was managing a magazine shoot, not a backyard dinner. Her gated neighborhood sat on the river, north side of Weehawken, the kind of place where every hedge was trimmed by a guy in uniform and the guard knew your license plate by memory. I rolled down the window and gave my name. The guard smiled like he'd been trained by Chick-fil-A. You're expected, Mr. Pike. Follow the signs to the Willow section. I pulled in and followed the slow, curving road through rows of beige homes with triple garages and flagstone walkways. Camille and Jared's house had a slate roof and 2 matching black SUVs in the drive like trophies. Jared was waiting in a blue polo and khakis, arms crossed, the corners of his mouth trying and failing to curve up. He opened with a wave, then pointed to a sign on the corner of the garage wall. No overnight guests without prior written approval, printed on HOA letterhead. Just a formality, he said. We have to document everything with the board now. You know how it is. No plans to crash here, I said. Just came for noodles. He gave a tight laugh. Appreciate that. Camille came out the front door right then, voice already high-pitched like we were on TV. Piper, come help me pick basil. The garden's this way. Daddy can have a drink with Uncle Jared. Piper ran toward her, arms swinging, and Camille swept her up like a Hallmark ad. I watched them disappear behind the patio as Jared motioned me toward the driveway. He leaned against the trunk of one of the SUVs, pulled out his phone, and started listing rules like he was reading from a teleprompter. We've had some internal discussions about community safety, especially around minors. Camille's been working with the HOA on aligning protocol. Things like fence height, outdoor supervision, and noise during rest hours. I raised an eyebrow. You guys writing a parenting manual? He smirked. No, just clarifying standards. Inconsistent routines create confusion. You know that I wanted to punch that smug calm right off his face, but instead, I shoved my hands in my pockets and nodded like I was just here for the food. Then the fence gate creaked behind us. A guy in athletic shorts and flip-flops strolled over like he'd been jogging and happened to stumble across this exact conversation. Hey, Jared, he said. Didn't realize you had company. Jared turned. Ethan, this is Camille's brother. Rowan Ethan stuck out a hand like he'd been rehearsing. Hey, actually, I think I saw you last Saturday. You were knocked out cold on your porch while your little girl played in the street. Thought about checking in, but figured it wasn't my place. I stared at him. You sure that was me? He scratched his jaw. Little blonde girl. Plastic trike. Looked like the same kid. That's funny, I said, because I was at work from 6:40 in the morning until after 4 that day. Shop cameras were rolling. I even cleaned the espresso machine on video. Ethan hesitated. Jared looked off to the side. Camille appeared behind them with Piper holding a cookie and dirt under her nails. Sweetie, show Daddy the flower you picked, she said, guiding her toward me with one hand on her shoulder. Piper beamed and held out a squashed marigold. I got this for you, Daddy. I took it and crouched beside her. Thanks, baby. Let's take a picture so we don't forget. I snapped a shot of her grinning, cookie in one hand, dirt smudged across her cheek. I made sure the timestamp showed on the screen, then texted it to myself for backup. As Piper ran back toward the swing set, Camille took her place behind Jared again, voice soft, but aimed. We're just worried, Rowan. The late hours, the erratic schedule. You're doing your best, I know that. But we all see a pattern. Jared nodded like he was hearing gospel. No one's trying to take anything from you, but if support is needed temporarily, we'd be willing to step in. I smiled. What time's the next HOA meeting? That threw him. Jared cleared his throat. Tuesday at 7. Boardroom behind the pool house. Want me to add you to the agenda? I shrugged. Might be worth sitting in. Fine, Camille said. I'll let Melissa know to print an extra copy of the minutes. We ate dinner on the patio. Oversauced spaghetti, garlic bread, and a salad with grapes in it. Camille passed it all around like nothing had happened. Jared poured Piper sparkling cider into a champagne glass like it was her wedding reception. I ate, I smiled, I made small talk with their neighbors. I didn't ask Ethan what exactly Camille had promised him for that porch lie. I didn't bring up the photos, the USB, or the fake clinic notes. I watched. I waited. When it was time to leave, Piper hugged Camille and said she loved her spaghetti. Camille kissed her on the head and whispered something I couldn't hear. We got in the car, Piper already half asleep in her booster seat. I pulled out slow, turned left at the roundabout, and drove past the row of mailboxes by the gate. That's when I saw it. Camille was walking away from Ethan. He stood stiff, glancing over his shoulder. She had just handed him something, folded paper. He tucked it fast into his shorts pocket and turned back toward his house. I gripped the wheel. My jaw locked. In the rearview mirror, I saw Camille turn and wave. In the car, Piper yawned and said, "Can we listen to the dinosaur song?" I pressed play. I didn't say a word the entire drive back. By 4:30 Monday morning, Felix was already inside the shop with a Red Bull and a portable drive, eyes bloodshot but wired. He'd spent most of the night scrubbing through security footage from the past 2 Saturdays and stitching it into a clean timeline. "You didn't miss a single frame," he said, dragging the mouse across the reel. "From open till mop-up, you're either pouring coffee, handling register, or cleaning syrup off the floor." He watermarked the time right on the corner of each clip, layered in the live date stamp from the feed. Every second accounted for. If I had nodded off, it would have been on camera, and Piper sure as hell hadn't been playing in the street. "Make 3 copies," I said. "One for Elliot, one for me, one we lock in your sock drawer." Next stop was the Columbus Branch Library. I still had the paper receipt from the day Camille claimed I'd been passed out while Piper ran wild. The librarian printed me a system-stamped checkout log, Dinosaurs Before Dark, 11:08 a.m. She even circled it in pink highlighter. "Cute title," she said, handing it over. "It saved my ass," I muttered. From there, I went down the block to a transit authority kiosk and pulled my tap-in/tap-out history. Saturday morning, 6:13 a.m. entry at 96th, 6:27 a.m. exit at 59th. That night, same deal in reverse. Camille's entire timeline was built on a version of reality where I had somehow been in 2 places at once. By noon, Quinn texted. Just 3 words and a screenshot. "Found this chain." It was an email thread between Camille and Jared from a printer queue. Subject line, Child Services Narrative Draft. Camille had sent him a doc titled Observation Outline. Rowan, asking Jared to add any recent examples of concern before she submitted. The draft was a Frankenstein mess, half recycled language from her fake pediatrician note, half blank spaces waiting to be filled in with whatever lies came next. And right there on the top corner, the same stretched logo from the earlier forgery, a different address again, same clinic name, same bullshit. I called Piper's real pediatrician that minute. The office manager, Sandra, picked up. "This is Rowan Pike, Piper's dad. Has anyone filed complaints about my parenting or requested a record transfer?" There was a pause while she checked. Nope, she said finally. Nothing. Piper's records are clean. We haven't sent anything out, and if we did, you'd have to sign it first. That's policy. I thanked her, then hung up and punched the wall of the alley behind the shop. Not hard enough to break anything, but enough to bleed. Back inside, Piper was sitting on a stool with a muffin and a marker, drawing birthday cupcakes for her stuffed raccoon. I kept my voice steady. At 2:30, Quinn sent me another one. A bank notification from Camille's inbox. You sent $175.50 to Ethan Klein via Zelle. Timestamp. Sunday night, exactly 2 hours after we left their house. Memo. Thanks for the errand. My hand tightened on the phone. I forwarded everything to Elliot, who texted back, preserve it all. Screen record, download, archive, hash it. He walked me through how to hash the files, basically a digital fingerprint, so no one could accuse us of altering anything. Then we notarized a one-page affidavit with the key dates, times, and attached proofs. It felt like building a raft out of receipts and video clips, hoping it would hold in court. After we filed an incident report, Elliot contacted a manager at a storage facility Camille had used back in April, West 30th Street, one of those clean, temperature-controlled places with 24/7 cameras at the front desk. 3 hours later, I got an email from the manager with security footage attachments. I opened them and froze. Camille, walking in wearing leggings and a long coat, wheeling in 2 big plastic tubs. One of them had a bright yellow sticker on the side that matched exactly with the toy box in the nursery photo she'd used in her evidence pile. The footage was time-stamped one day before she sent Jared the observation draft. I forwarded it all to Elliot and labeled it Stage Photos, Storage. The file was already too heavy to upload to Gmail, so I moved it to the same offline drive as the footage reel. Then Quinn dropped the hammer. She emailed a PDF Camille had labeled Rowan Evidence Table V3. It had the same tabs, incidents, concerns, support letters, but the metadata didn't lie. Created, 2:16 p.m., modified, 2:41 p.m., same day as the couch photo, the street lie, the whole charade. 25 minutes to build a fake case. 25 minutes to paint me like an unfit father using Google Docs, 2 ring lights, and a lie told over cookies. By now, I wasn't letting Piper out of arm's reach. I brought her to the shop with me and let my assistant Rhea handle the milk runs. She was a good kid. Early 20s, lived in Queens, sharp and quiet. You good, boss? She asked as she stocked the oat milk. Just focus on the counter, I said. I'll handle the rest. I brewed every cup. I watched every corner. I ran my own security checks. I wasn't just running a coffee shop anymore. I was living in a crime scene. Tuesday night, I walked into the HOA meeting wearing the only button-down I owned that didn't have coffee stains on it. The boardroom was behind the pool house, exactly where Jared said it would be. Beige walls, folding chairs in a half circle, and a snack table no one touched. About a dozen neighbors sat in tight rows, arms crossed, waiting for a show. Jared stood at the front, posture stiff like someone trying too hard not to look nervous. He had a manila folder in front of him and his HOA badge clipped like it was going to make his words matter more. Let's begin, he said, voice smooth and clipped like a courtroom actor. We've gathered tonight to review a series of neighborhood concerns, specifically regarding the well-being of minor residents and potential risk factors within our community. Camille sat near the back, blazer zipped up, binder on her lap like she was ready to present a business case. Ethan Klein sat 2 chairs to her right, tapping his foot, head down, like he already regretted showing up. Jared opened the folder and started reading a letter. His voice didn't shake, but it didn't carry much weight either. We have ongoing concerns regarding Mr. Rowan Pike's ability to provide stable, structured care for his child. Several reports indicate irregular schedules, lack of oversight during active play hours, and incidents suggesting emotional exhaustion. He glanced up like he expected applause or nods. A woman in the second row frowned slightly. No one else moved. Jared continued. These concerns have led to discussions of a temporary guardianship arrangement with responsible relatives until a more permanent structure can be evaluated. That's when I raised my hand. Calm, controlled. I'd like to respond. He hesitated. This isn't technically a hearing. You read my name out loud. You implied I'm not a safe parent. I get a minute. He looked around like someone might save him. No one spoke, so he gave a small nod. I stepped forward and pulled a single sheet from my folder. 1 page, no extras. This is a screenshot of a Zelle transfer. $175.50 sent from Camille's account to Ethan Klein. Timestamp, 2 hours after the Sunday spaghetti gathering. Memo says, "Thanks for the errand." I handed a copy to Jared, one to the woman beside him. Attached below that, I continued, is a timeline of video from my coffee shop security footage, time-stamped, watermarked, showing me working every minute of the exact Saturday Ethan claims he saw me asleep while my daughter played in traffic. Ethan's ears lit up red. He shifted in his seat and let out a dry cough. That might have been a mix-up, he said, voice cracking. I mean, I saw someone. I didn't get a great look. Jared blinked, looking at the paper like it had turned radioactive. Camille's jaw tensed. I didn't show them everything. Not yet. Elliot told me to keep the full set back until court, but I had more than enough to land the first punch. I turned to Jared. Who wrote the pediatrician note you submitted? He straightened his shoulders. It was provided to me by a concerned party, so not from the clinic itself. He glanced at Camille. Just a flick. It was already drafted when I signed it. Meaning, you signed something you didn't verify? Jared exhaled slowly. Procedure requires board signatures to log concerns. I nodded, but not to fabricate them. Camille finally spoke. You're twisting this, Rowan. These were community-led concerns. Jared simply signed what was brought to him by you, I said. Let's stop pretending. I walked over to the desk where Jared had placed the HOA letter. Under the fluorescent light, I snapped a photo of it with my phone, making sure the angle caught the board seal and Jared's signature at the bottom. Elliot told me to collect originals if I could, but said a clear photo under steady light was good enough in a pinch. Jared's voice turned shaky. There's no need for hostility. No hostility here, I said. Just facts. And the fact is, you're putting your name on documents that could cost me custody of my daughter. So yeah, I'm keeping receipts. Camille sat frozen, lips tight. She didn't argue again. She didn't need to. Her silence said everything. She knew this meeting was no longer going the way she'd planned. Jared cleared his throat again and looked at the clock. All right, let's adjourn for now. We'll continue discussion pending further clarification. That was it. No vote, no decision. Just a quick scramble out the side door. Half the neighbors left whispering. One woman actually stopped me on the way out and said, "Your kid's the little blonde with the glitter shoes, right?" She seemed sweet. Hope this gets sorted. I gave a tight nod. Me too. As I reached the parking lot, I heard footsteps behind me. Jared caught up, walking fast, hands in his pockets. "We just want what's best for Piper," he said. "This wasn't meant to go this far." I stopped walking, turned to him. "You signed a fake clinic letter. You helped push a file with forged evidence. You let your wife write my name into court drafts. So no, you don't get to say this wasn't your intent." He shifted his weight. Camille said the court might need preparation, that we had to show due diligence. "You let her use your name like a hammer," I said. "You should stop signing things you don't understand." He opened his mouth, then closed it again. No apology. No defense. I got in my car and pulled out of that parking lot with Piper's picture still taped to the dash. They thought they were cleaning up a mess. What they didn't realize was, I hadn't even started swinging yet. Elliot showed up at 8 sharp, yellow legal pad tucked under one arm, phone already buzzing with calendar alerts. He didn't sit. He didn't unpack slowly. He cleared a corner of the kitchen table with one hand and started drawing boxes with names inside. Camille, Jared, Piper, me. Then he drew lines between them. "We file for an emergency protective order only if we can nail intent," he said. "Negligence won't cut it. We need to show premeditated manipulation, false reporting, and clear attempts to disrupt custody." He tapped his pen against the paper. I'm not looking to play defense. I want this thing flipped back on them. Felix slid a drive across the table and popped open my laptop. Got the new timestamps hashed, he said. Everything cross-referenced. Camera feeds, bank records, clinic contact logs. I laid out every printed piece we had. The Zelle transfer screenshot, the fake clinic letter, the transit logs, the daycare transfer form. Each item got its own little corner of the battlefield. Piper sat at the far end, coloring dinosaurs with her headphones in, humming to herself and occasionally reaching for a goldfish cracker. Quinn arrived 20 minutes later, hair tied back, eyes darker than usual. She walked in carrying a grocery bag and a beige folder with no label. I didn't print this, she said, voice low. It came through the shared fax line. I rerouted it so Camille wouldn't get the delivery receipt. She placed the folder in front of Elliot. He opened it, flipped through 2 pages, and stopped. It's signed, he said. Jared listed as secondary guardian proxy. Center in Montclair. Start date, July 15th. My stomach locked up. It was already the 10th. They'd signed off on this while looking me in the face, smiling, offering spaghetti. Elliot pushed the folder toward me. That proxy status isn't legal, but it shows intent. It's not concern. It's custody theft, Felix muttered, and fraud, depending on what they claimed in the intake packet. Yep, Elliot said, already noting it in the margin of his pad. We add it to the affidavit. This goes in the order request. He pulled a small folder from his own bag and laid out 2 documents face down. This is our next step, a cease and desist on unsupervised contact with Piper, and a time-stamped notice of concern to family court. It's not an accusation. It's a record. We get it filed tonight. I nodded. Do it. While Elliot reviewed the language with me, Felix crouched near the bookcase, fiddling with a screwdriver. Where do you want eyes? He asked. Front door, kitchen, and here? I said, pointing to the corner where Piper kept her toys. Sound too, not just motion. He placed one tiny pinhole camera into the bottom of the stuffed raccoon on the couch. Another went under the key rack. Then he unscrewed the light fixture in the ceiling and embedded a mic near the base. This'll pick up voices within 12 feet. Nothing fancy, but enough. We moved back to the table. Elliot's phone buzzed. He looked at the screen and frowned. Expect fallout, he said. Camille's not going to sit quietly once this hits her inbox. He tapped a few keys, clicked send, and leaned back. 5 minutes later, my phone rang. It was my landlord. Rowan, hey, he said, voice way too casual. Just checking in. I've gotten a couple, odd messages. Someone left a voicemail saying they heard late-night noise coming from your unit, mentioned child welfare concerns, not naming names, but they left their name. Nope. Voicemail came from a restricted number. I'm not pressing anything, just wanted to give you a heads up, Elliot mouthed. Log it. I grabbed a pen and wrote it down. That night, when I came back from taking Piper out for a quick walk, I found a card wedged in the doorframe. White cardstock, black ink, City Health Inspector, Division of Residential Safety. The line under it read, Unannounced visit. Potential unlicensed food prep above residential occupancy. I laughed. I actually laughed out loud. I ran a corner coffee shop with no kitchen stove, no deep fryer, no grease. What the hell were they trying to spin now? That I was running a black market soup business? Quinn came by around 10 with her laptop. She looked even more tired than before. Said Camille had been in the office that afternoon talking circles. She told 2 agents you were barely holding it together, she said. And I'm not proud of this, but there's talk, like actual bets on how long before Piper moves to a real home. Someone said 2 weeks. Another said by the end of the month she looked sick, saying it. I didn't say anything for a minute. I just nodded. Elliot said nothing either, just typed up the next set of addendums. We can't make her stop talking, he said, but we can bury every lie with hard data. That's how you win this. He sent the cease and desist to Camille and Jared at 11:13 p.m., sent it from his personal email, with court reference numbers included, and delivery receipts enabled. Piper was already asleep on the couch, head resting against the raccoon with the hidden lens. I walked Elliot out around midnight. He shook my hand firmly. This next week is when they'll get loud. Stay calm, keep collecting, and don't let her within 10 feet of that girl without you present. I won't, I said. Inside, I locked every window. I checked both cameras. I put my phone on silent and left it charging by the raccoon. I slept 2 hours, tops. The stuffed animal watched the door. By Wednesday, the plan was solid. Elliot called it documented provocation with controlled response. I called it bait. I sent out invites that morning. Text only, casual tone. Hey, doing a small dinner Friday night, late birthday thing, just a family toast. Come by around 7? Camille replied within 10 minutes. Of course, I'll bring dessert. Something fun for Piper, Jared texted a few hours later. We'll grab sparkling cider. She loves the bubbles, I told them both. I appreciated it, then turned my phone face down and went to work. Quinn and Felix came by the shop after close. We cleared the back counter and opened the shared drive Felix had labeled, For Piper Truth. The folder structure was simple. Timeline, payments, witness, transfers, cameras. Inside, every file was backed up 3 ways, with duplicates stashed on Felix's encrypted drive. First folder, cameras. We loaded the clip of Camille handing Ethan a folded note at the mailbox, time stamped to the minute, 6:42 p.m., right after Sunday spaghetti. Next, the footage from Camille at the West 30th storage facility, dragging in the plastic tubs that showed up later in her fake nursery photos. We clipped in the segment of Ethan stuttering through his lie at the HOA meeting and matched it side by side with my shop footage proving I was at work the entire day he claimed to see me asleep on my porch. Then we stacked the timeline folder. Felix had synced my shop's security feed with public MTA tap-in logs and a screenshot from the Columbus Library showing the exact minute Piper and I checked out dinosaurs before dark. Everything was labeled, dated, cross-verified. Quinn pulled up her laptop. I found one more thing. Camille logged a task in the brokerage CRM 2 weeks before the concern letter was drafted. It's under her internal account. She turned the screen toward me. It read, Task, Medical Provider Change, Client, Whitman Family, Notes, Transfer for Piper Pike. Date entered, June 15th. 2 weeks before they claimed they were just starting to observe issues, she said. She logged a provider change before they even filed a single concern. My jaw clenched. Felix added another layer. Parking lot footage from a pharmacy across the street from the Montclair daycare Camille had tried to move Piper to. You could see her car in full frame, time-stamped 10:12 a.m. Same day she texted me, Love watching Piper at the park. She's such a free spirit. $10 says she never even passed the swings, Felix said. Elliot sent over a new letter to Jared. No drama, just law. It spelled out in plain terms that signing as proxy guardian without a court order met the legal threshold for fraud, regardless of HOA procedure. He CC'd the HOA counsel and noted the date of the forged daycare transfer form. The header read, Subject, Unauthorized signature and misrepresentation of legal guardianship. Thursday night, I bought a cheap Chromecast and tested it twice, once on my kitchen TV and once in the living room. It took 6 seconds to cast a full-screen folder slideshow from my laptop. Quinn helped me set up a clean transition with no pop-ups, no file names, just straight video and screenshots. She labeled each clip in white Arial text. Footage, mailbox. Photo, created 2:16 p.m. Transfer, Zelle payment. I practiced what I'd say, kept it short. Phones down for one toast. Piper spent most of Friday afternoon drawing place cards on sticky notes. She made one for Aunt Cam with a little heart over the eye. I tried not to look at it too long. Rhea came by and helped me rearrange chairs so it looked like a real dinner table. Felix tested the cameras again, including the one under the key rack and the second mic in the kitchen light. We turned down the brightness on the TV so the glow wouldn't reflect off the screen until I hit play. By Friday night, everything was staged and tested. Chromecast synced, files queued, cameras rolling. All that was left was to gather them at the table. Thursday morning, just after I flipped the sign to open, Jared stepped out from behind a lamppost like he'd been pacing the sidewalk. He waved like we were old friends, walked up slow, hands deep in his jacket pockets. "Didn't want to text," he said. "Camille's been overzealous." I didn't know how far things were going until recently. I didn't answer, just waited. "I signed a clinic verification weeks ago," he continued. "Didn't read it close. I thought it was just a transfer request, basic formality, a courtesy, really." My jaw clenched so tight I could hear my teeth grind. "Do you still have what you signed?" He nodded, eyes darting. "Yeah, I keep digital scans for most of it. I can hold off submitting anything until after. Just keep everything," I cut in. "Don't delete, don't forward, don't revise, until tomorrow night." He swallowed hard. "All right." He walked off fast, like proximity to me was starting to burn. Later that afternoon, Quinn messaged me from the brokerage office. "Found a calendar hold on Camille's laptop. Paramus, PEDS, 9:30 a.m., Monday, plus a Southwest booking for 2 seats out of LaGuardia. One way." She sent a screenshot, grainy but readable. My stomach dropped. Camille was already planning the exit. That night, Ethan texted, "Rowan, I'm sorry." Camille said it was just a statement for documentation. I owed her a favor. Didn't think it'd be used against you. No explanation for the lie. No offer to fix it. Just weak backpedaling. I left him on red. Elliot filed for an ex parte emergency order that same night. We didn't send it yet. He just needed it queued. If everything went south Friday, it would hit the judge's inbox by Monday morning. Every document, every video, every chain of custody timestamp was sealed, hashed, and notarized. "This is your insurance policy," he said. "Worst case scenario, you'll have a judge with everything they need in one drop." Felix came by again and wired the living room for full audio. The Chromecast had a slight delay, less than a second, but it would hold. He checked the mic range again, confirmed clean sound from the dining table to the far end of the couch. Rhea popped in Friday morning to grab her keys for the shift. She looked around at the cleared counters and the stack of place settings waiting by the door. "You throwing a wedding or a war?" she asked. I handed her the keys. "Bit of both." She fist-bumped me and grinned. "Get your kid, boss." That afternoon, Piper sat on the floor taping sticky notes to plastic cups. She wrote names in wiggly letters. Aunt Cam, Uncle Jared, Quinn, Daddy. She added a heart after every name without thinking. She looked up at me halfway through and asked, "Is Aunt Cam mad at you?" I swallowed hard. "No, sweetheart." But sometimes family does the wrong thing. And even when they do, they're still family. We just have to be brave enough to tell the truth. She nodded like that made sense, then kept decorating. I cooked too much food, 3 sides, 2 mains, and a tray of rolls no one asked for. I moved the stuffed raccoon to the top shelf across the room, lens aimed down at the table. I made sure its mouth was facing forward so the audio wouldn't muffle. Around 5, I checked the folder links again. One by one. Every video played smooth. Every screenshot opened clean. I retested the Chromecast. It popped up like clockwork. TV screen black, then a title card. For Piper, Truth. At the very end of the sequence, after the Zelle receipt and the timeline files, I added a final video. Piper, last month, blowing out candles at the shop while Rhea and Felix sang behind the counter. She wore a paper crown and had pink frosting on her cheek. I watched it once through. The whole thing. Then I closed the laptop and stared at the dark screen. This wasn't about proving Camille wrong anymore. This was about showing them who they were trying to erase. I wasn't going to lose my daughter because someone else didn't like how I poured milk or folded laundry. They wanted to clean me out of her life like I was a bad line in a spreadsheet. Tomorrow night, I was going to show them every dirty trick they thought no one saw. Everyone showed at 7 sharp, just like I expected. Camille walked in first, pearls at her neck, cool as ever, holding the pie dish like it was her ticket to sainthood. Jared followed with a bottle of sparkling cider for Piper, blazer crisp, jaw clenched. My aunt and uncle brought a bag of potato rolls no one asked for. 2 of my cousins came too. One curious, one clueless. Ethan's wife showed up in heels, said she thought it was a neighbor's welcome thing. Ethan didn't say much at all. I poured water, passed around plates of food that barely got touched, and stood near the head of the table. 5 minutes of quiet, I said. Just one toast for Piper. Phones down, please. Camille froze. Jared looked like he wanted to be anywhere else. But everyone did it. Phones flipped, screens down. That was all I needed. I tapped the laptop once. The Chromecast lit up the TV behind me. First clip, my shop security footage. Me behind the bar, Piper in the corner coloring, library checkout timestamp popping up in the corner. Every movement matched to the second. Transit logs, tap-ins, camera overlays, all stitched tight. No one spoke. Then came the spreadsheet. Rowan evidence table, V3. Metadata zoomed to full screen, created at 2:16 p.m., modified at 2:41. The same Wednesday Camille claimed she'd spent checking in on us all week. Next folder, payments. Ethan's hands appeared on screen, taking a folded note by the mailbox. Then a screenshot of Camille's Zelle transfer, $175.50, memo line. Thanks for the errand. Ethan didn't even try to deny it. He sunk in his chair and stared at his lap like it might swallow him. Next, the transfer folder. The Montclair daycare form flashed up on screen with Jared's signature as secondary guardian proxy. Right after, Elliot's letter came up, explaining how signing that form without a court order was fraud, plain and simple. Jared leaned forward, blinked hard, then leaned back like his spine gave out. He stared at his own name like it had betrayed him. Then came the video Quinn found. Camille, caught by the pharmacy's parking lot cam, 10:12 a.m. Same morning she texted me about Piper, playing in the park. After that, the calendar hold for the Paramus pediatrician, Monday at 9:30, followed by the airline booking for 2 one-way tickets out of LaGuardia. I didn't look at Camille during any of it. I let the screen speak. The last clip rolled. Camille in a storage unit dragging out the plastic tubs, stacking boxes labeled with Piper's name. Same boxes she'd used in her unstable home photos. Same afternoon, same clothes, same lie. Camille finally snapped. "This is doctored," she said loud. "All of it." "You're unstable, Rowan. This is exactly what I meant. This is dangerous behavior." I didn't flinch. I hit play on one last file. Audio only. Her voice, recorded right there in my kitchen a week earlier. "You made it easy. You handed me IDs and logins. I didn't even have to lie. I just rearranged the facts." Camille's face went cold. She didn't even argue. She knew what she'd said. Jared stood up, hands flat on the table. He looked around the room, then back at Camille. "I was told we were protecting Piper," he said, voice low. "What did I sign?" He didn't yell. He just folded into himself. My aunt stood up quietly, walked over to Piper and took her hand. "Let's go draw in the bedroom, sweetheart." No one stopped her. I picked up the phone, dialed the number Elliot had queued, and handed it to Jared. The counselor on the line asked who had signed the pediatric clinic transfer. Jared answered. Full name, clear voice. He gave the date, the notary's name, the office location. The police didn't cuff anyone that night, but 2 detectives scheduled interviews on the spot. Elliot's filing Monday became a same-day protective order. Everything Camille built fell in 10 minutes. A week later, Ethan left a letter in my mail slot. Handwritten apology, full confession, copies sent to the court and the HOA. He texted a screenshot of his refund to Camille. $175.50 returned. Memo, no more errands. By September, Camille's brokerage froze her license pending the investigation. She called it temporary. The Department of State didn't. Jared stepped down from the HOA, cooperated with the DA, and got voted off the board 8-3. He sent me a short message saying, "I'd like to see Piper at the park, just as her uncle." I didn't respond. I got the order. Piper stayed with me. Quinn stuck around, quiet at first, then showing up with groceries, laughing in my kitchen, running flashcards after her shift. She never asked for credit. She just stayed. I don't call it a win. I call it getting my daughter back. I call it holding the line. And every morning when I pour coffee, I remember the room going silent. Phones down, truth on the screen, and me finally speaking without being talked over. What would you do if your own family tried to take your child away using lies and fake papers? Drop your answer in the comments. If you'd like to support the channel, tap Super Thanks. It's optional, but really helps. If you enjoyed it, leave a comment saying it was good or share your own opinion. It really supports the channel. Subscribe for more.
YouTube picked this for you. Tap it. Let's see if they guessed right.